Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Ringwood South. And excuse me, I'm still a little bit under the weather, so forgive me. And welcome to the stream. Hello, Kev Bygrave. Welcome to the stream. How are you this evening? So today we're going to be talking about my Class 50, and there's a bit of an update on it. I'm going to try and keep it relatively short. I didn't really want to, if I could avoid it, let anybody down. So I just wanted to get through tonight and just explain to you. Good, thank you. Hello, Emo8765, also known as Dave Gilmore. Welcome to the stream. Keith from CSX Renville, also hello to you. And I'm glad you. And I'm glad you're well, Keith Bygrave. So today I'll have a bit of an update for you on my Class 50. And I also have, hello Anita Jones, I Like Transport, Creeping Jane, David Adkins. It's alright, at least you're not behind the posts, David. So, hello Auntie from Strathmore Road Junction. Hope I'm feeling better. Well, nah, I'm like that, to be honest. Yesterday wasn't a particularly great day. Today I'm a bit better, but I'm still, as you can probably hear in my voice, I'm pretty bunged up. I'm supposed to be going to London on Tuesday to see my family for my birthday, but I'm not sure whether that's happening yet. Hello Dave Engage. So welcome to the stream. Haymarket47, welcome to the stream. Can you all hear me all right? Let me just do a sound check with you guys first, just to make sure that that you can all hear me. Because if you can hear me, just one of you just put yes on it, just so I can make sure that you can all hear me. Good, excellent. Because I know I've had trouble in the past. Oh, Alan Reynolds, Paper Machine 8 and Batman at the moment. Wicked, that sounds good. That sounds like fun. That sounds like being at school. That's what that sounds like. Good. I'm glad you can all hear me. Excellent stuff. So, I wanted to talk to you about my Class 50 mainly, because that was actually quite an interesting story. But I'm going to quickly divert, because we're going to see whether or not we get a few more people on before we go on to the main bit. I wanted to talk to you about this little kiddie, which is a hybrid. This is a Lima Class 73 on a Hornby chassis, DCC ready chassis. And the reason I quickly wanted to talk to you about this little baby is because some time ago I did some videos on this, and I was doing about upgrading it, updating it. Actually, St Michael's Hill was doing an upgrade on a Lima 33, and this was kind of like a similar sort of deal. Graham Alex, yes, it's nice to meet you as well, and I hope you and your missus are very well tonight. And St Peter's Layout, welcome to the stream as well. And there's a bit of an update on this little baby, and I did say at some point I was going to put sound in this thing, and that was going to be part 4, I think it was, and that was some time ago. This is going about 2-3 months now. Now, this has been on my back burner for a little while because it's been running so poorly that I was reluctant to spend money on a sound chip on it. And I've managed to kind of get to the bottom, I'm on a bit of a roll, of why it's been running so poorly. And I had a discussion with Dave Gilmore, also known as Emo, 8765, and he was telling me that the pickups on these things are notoriously bad. And he knew somebody who could sort it out. And basically, what I decided to do is I decided to work out where the pickups were on this particular 73, and it turns out it was on this end here, this bogie here. So basically, I pulled them out. I've given them a really proper good clean out and readjusted them, and now my 73 seems to be on the mend. So I'm really pleased to report that. I'm going to keep her running for a little while, just on plain DCC, because I want to make sure that I'm confident in putting a chip in her a sound chip in there before I commit to that. I just want to make sure she's running okay. So that's, but there's good news on the 73. That's now kind of moved a step closer to being sound fitted. Right, so like the main kind of crux of the of the video is going to be about Thunderer 50008. Now, what I wanted to quickly also do is I wanted to a couple of you asked a few questions about the chip, the sound chip that's on my Class 50s from Kevin from Coastal DCC, and for those of you who don't know who he is, that's his sound chip that's on my Class 50s. Well, not all of them, 3 of them. And basically, one was asked. I can't remember who it was, so forgive me if it was you, and I don't mention your name. I couldn't quite remember who asked me. There's a couple. Hello, Jamie. Welcome to the stream. Basically, somebody had asked me whether or not it had a drive lock on it. The answer is no. It doesn't have a drive lock on that chip. Somebody else also asked about. Hello, Jamie. Welcome to the stream. Mike Britton. Welcome to the stream. Also, somebody asked about sound volumes and sound functions and all the rest of it. And Kevin's advice was to basically contact him with your queries or your questions, and he will do his best to try and answer them for you. Because obviously it's not like a one-size-fits-all kind of deal, so there is kind of horses for courses in terms of the sound chip. Some people like louder sounds, or some people might want to adjust them, or do what I did and basically have the fresh cut in and take off the top end speed because of it being an end-to-end layout. So he just said, if you have any questions, rather than just kind of try and do it on an individual basis, if you contact him directly and you want to ask any questions about his sound chip, he can just give you all the information that you need there and then you can make your own decisions as to whether or not you'd like to go through with any purchases of his. Right, so my Class 50008 Thunderer. I'm glad to report, as some of you may know already, it is up and running. Leighton Junction, welcome to the stream. And basically the whole thing with Thunderer kicked off when I got the sound chip from DCC Coastal, and I put it, some of you may, if you've watched how the sound fitting video that I did previously, you'll know that I put the chip in and nothing happened, and I was trying to work out what it is. Is it the PCB board? Was it anything else? Philip Page, hello, welcome to the stream. And I was trying to deduce what the problem was, and it didn't work with the sound chip at all. There was no sound, no movement, nothing. So I thought, well, okay, it must be the board. Somebody suggested it might be the pickups on it, but then I thought to myself, well, surely if there's a problem with the pickups but it's running on analog, surely that may be the DCC side. If it may have jittered a bit even if it didn't work. Hello Mike Buick, welcome to the stream. Yeah, I've got enough. Well, sit on the cushion then. So yeah, so there was a question as to whether it could be the pickups, whether it was a PCB board. I was basically, you are sitting on a cushion. Well, maybe sit on two. And I then had another conversation, with Dave Gilmore. I also had another conversation with Kevin Dickerson from Coastal DCC, and we seemed to narrow it down to either two possibilities. One, it was either the board, or two, it was going to be a pickup issue. And I decided that I was going to buy a new board for it, and I looked up on eBay, and it turns out that they did sell the PCB boards for a Class 50, and not at a particularly high price. It was only about £13. But then a question arose when I was talking to Dave about which type of PCB board it was, and I'm going to So I then had to rewatch. I had to rewatch my video that I did to try and work out, so I didn't have to take the body off again, to work out which board. Hello, Paul Dempsey. Welcome from Paul and Joe. Welcome to the stream. So it turns out that this is the board. I don't know if you can see it, how well you can see it. Oops, do it like that. That this is the board that I had on my 50. But there was two types of boards, and if you notice on this one, there's like a plugs on the ends where all the cables come in. That's just like one complete plug. But on my particular class 50 Thunderer, unfortunately, the wires, I don't know why when we did it, but they soldered the wires directly to the PCB board, not to the plug. Which meant that in order for me to remove the PCB board, I would have to desolder all the wires and basically put the new board in and basically resolder it all. So I was looking at that and I was thinking, I'm not really too keen on this idea of having to do that. And I was like, really not happy about this at all. In the meantime, what I had done is I had swapped the chassis over from Centurion, one of my other 50s, to Thunderer and put the sound chip in that, and now that's working. But it still left me with the issue of the chassis of the Class 50 from Thunderer. So I ordered the chip, the PCB board, and this is what happened. This is said PCB board that got sent, and it's the wrong one. It's the wrong PCB board that they sent out, despite the fact that the picture was of the one that I had. They have somehow missold me this. So I'm wondering whether to keep this. I haven't spoken to them about it yet. I'm wondering whether to keep this as a spare PCB board for maybe one of my other 50s, or whether or not I'd send it back and say to them, look, you sent me the wrong one. So I was now left with another quandary, because now I couldn't replace the PCB board, and I was wondering what the issues were. But I still wasn't totally convinced that the PCB board was at fault, because it did work in one direction, going over a complicated set of points, but coming back, it just died. So I thought it can't be the PCB board, because otherwise it just wouldn't work at all. And this kind of really got me head scratching. And lo and behold, I worked out what the problem was. And it was the most innocuous thing that I could. Hello, Jamie. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking of doing, Jamie. I'm thinking of just keeping it as spares and just keeping it, because it might be for one of my other. It might work on one of my other 50s. Well, Strathmore, Anthony, what I'd suggest is, I did the video on sound fitting, is have a look at that and see what you think. It's not that particularly difficult, you just have to be careful. And I did mention in the video sort of things to look out for. The main tip is to pull the body straight up. Don't pull it sort of at an angle, because you'll break the louvres. Good evening, Scrapline model. Scrap my model row. Sorry, my brain's kind of gone, but that way and that way. Right, so let me show you what the problem was with 50008 chassis. I'm going to show you a picture now. I don't know how clear this is going to come up, but I'm going to try and get you up close and personal. Can we all see that all right? I hope you can. This is a picture of a Class 50 chassis. And basically, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little red cable just about there. And that was the problem, because that leads solder to the pickup. And that was what was the problem. It was desoldered, it had come away. And it was a black cable, so it wasn't red like this, it was black. So you couldn't see that it had actually come away from the pickup point. and that basically that cable has to be soldered to that to make the connection for the pickups. So basically it wasn't picking up any power, and that's why it was stuttering and kept cutting out. So that was the cause of my issue. Now the other problem I had. Hello, John A. Dawson. I didn't see you come on the stream, so welcome. David Atkins, simple then. Right. Okay, let's get onto that bit then. Okie dokie. Right. So that little cable at the bottom there goes through the top and up and comes up with these wires up to here. Unfortunately, this little cable is only literally long enough to basically connect to the pickup. So when it's split, there was no play in the wire in order to resolder it. So what I had to do is I had to pull this cable that had become desoldered, pull it up from here, and what I then had to do is I tried soldering another extension cable onto it, or I was going to, but before I did that I wanted to see whether it would feed through the gap, and it turns out that the cable that I was trying to use was just too thick, so I couldn't use it because it wouldn't feed through down the chassis. So what happened is one of my old decoders had an accessory wire, and I basically snipped the accessory wire and basically fed some heat shrink and resoldered and spliced a new section on, and then fed that down through the chassis and onto the pickup, back down the bottom there, back down to the bottom there, and I fed the pickup through there, and basically I spliced on a new bit of cable, and now she's working fine. I think the red wire goes to the plug, but to be honest with you, Jamie, I didn't actually touch it, because all I did was basically feed this wire up through the chassis to pulled it right out, and basically just soldered back onto the end of it and added extra length and then fed it back down. So I didn't actually touch any of the joints along the other end because I didn't obviously want to mess around with that. So yeah, so I learnt something new basically, and thankfully it wasn't the PCB board. I mean, the thought of having to desolder all of those, I don't know why on that particular one Hornby did that, but that's what they did on that particular local, because usually, oh, Paddington Bear, he's looking after, oh, Paddington Bear, he's overseeing the stock. He's over there in the fiddle yard overseeing all the stock there that's there. Yeah, he's just keeping an eye on things. He's supervising over at that end of the layout at the moment. So yeah, so that's great. So today, like I said, I haven't been still not particularly great, but I have managed to do a fair amount. I managed to paint the whole of the back scene on the back side back to green, because when I resprayed the sky and I laid it down, I got when I laid it down on the floor, it got marked, so I repainted the whole lot because I had to do the 2 extension pieces. So I did that as well whilst I was there. So that's something that I've done today. So yeah, you're right, Jamie. Yeah, you're always learning model railway. So I've learned something new today, this weekend. So this is how it looks on a. That's how your chassis should roughly look like on one of the older ones. So yeah, I mean, so now problem solved, and I'm really happy with her. And if I try and see, I'm just about to take it to the layout. We're going to see how this goes now. Right, so on the layout currently so far, we have Thunderer still on Centurions, so that's why these two are together. These two are basically hybrids now. Thunderer's got Centurions chassis, and Centurion has got Thunderer's body. Yes, I hope so. I really do, yeah. I've got Defiance in the back. I have 50013, which is Agincourt right next door. And I've got Ajax here. And at the back, I have Glorious and Sir Edward Elgar. So I've got 7. I've got 7 ready for the event. And that leaves me with about another 5 to get prepared for this event, which will be at some point during December. I'm not sure quite when it's going to be, or how it's going to be, or how it's going to work out. Yeah, it is a 56 on the depot. Yes, it is. That is actually, that was fun enough. Yeah. Kev, but yeah, that is a 56. That actually, funny enough, is another one that I've had issues with, but that one was more to do with lighting. Well, Anthony, Batman don't do class 50s, but they do, but Lima do. But yeah, if you can afford to go for a Hornby super detailed one, always go for a Hornby super detailed one. That's pretty much the choice. Because if you get a Lima one, you'd have to hardwire it in, although they're a lot more simplistic and not as detailed. Hello, Stuart Barnard, welcome to the stream. Yeah, I love my 50s. It's totally. So I'm really happy with them. I don't know. Yeah, so it's good. It's good. I'm really pleased with all of them now, and I'm glad I've got to the bottom of it, because that's really, really pleased me no end. And hello, Showa Henley. Welcome to the stream. So yeah, that's really, really cool. So as well as doing the 50s, as some of you may have seen, I have put up an update on the extension. Because I don't really like doing live layout updates, because you just lose the quality as soon as you start walking around. So that's why I don't really do, whenever I do live stuff, I usually like to keep the camera still in one position, just because you just then get generally better quality picture all the way through the stream. Has anyone got any questions at all or anything? Yeah, well, Anthony, I don't know if you've seen my latest update, but that went up yesterday, and that's in stills. And that was a mixture of stills and a couple of clips. Did you sort the gap out in the road? No, not as yet. That is something else I need to do. Hello, Show Henry. Nice to see you too. Yeah, it's no. It's the short answer. I haven't. Oh, you enjoyed that, Jamie? I'm glad you did. Yeah, but like I said, sometimes when you're doing it, moving the thing, do you have any signaling on it? I do have one signal and some ground signals, but to be fair, this layout doesn't really need many signals at all. A lot of it is going to be... Kev, funnily enough, I was talking about getting a new RFD47 with Dave Gilmore, actually, funnily enough. I haven't got it yet, and I'm not sure yet. See as to how to see my comment as to how to solve it. Keith, can you give me a reminder as how to solve what was... I can't remember, to be truthful with you, if I'm being honest. My apologies. But yes, I would like to get an RFD47. That is something that I would like to get. But then again, there's lots of things I'd like to get. But I've still got a number of chips to still buy to get the rest of these 47s going. And there is actually... okay, Lilac Transport. Well, nice to speak to you, and thank you for joining in the stream tonight. And it's nice to have you on the stream anyway. And everyone is all welcome. So yeah, I've got something else as well. I've managed to get hold of. Don't go away now. I was going to save it. Where is she? I've got it around here somewhere. Don't go anywhere. Is this it? No. Oh, I can't find her. What have I done with her? Cool, blah, 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 blah. My apologies, everyone. Talk amongst yourselves for a brief moment. Ah. Right. I'm back. Right. She's behind you. What have I missed? You do like the bridge joins. Good. I'm glad you do, Alan Reynolds. I like it too, actually. It's worked out really, really well. Right. I've got another 50 to add to my fleet. It's Monarch. And this is a Kerno special edition. And this and she's beautiful. Now, I didn't get this from Kerno, and I was very lucky to get this, especially at the price that I got it at. Yeah, I love my 50s, but this one's very, very nice 50 because it's got a blue roof. And it hasn't got a chip in it yet, but it needs one. But it just means that I need another chip. But me and my 50s, I love them. They're so pretty. They're lovely. I love them very much. It does bring a lot of joy to me. And I tell you what we're going to do. Yes, my apologies at the moment. Right, let's see. Let's see if we can stay here. Yes. Right. Yeah, I do love my NSC liveries. Right. So let's see if we can. I mean, like I said, this has got the DCC Coastal sound chip. So if you hadn't heard it the first time round, then you can hear it now. Anthony, what's next for my layout? Basically, what's next for my layout is to basically just keep adding detail to it and bits and pieces, upgraded the rolling stock, putting sound in it where I can. So let's see. Wait a minute. I need to put the right one in. That would help. Right, let's make sure all their points are set, because I am flapping my gums. Right, okay, so that's that. I've got the lights on there. So let's give her a fire up. I'd love to get Valiant, Stuart Bernard, to be honest. I'm just trying to find one. Kev Pygrave, I think I kind of beg to differ, I guess. I can't really sit here and say that I haven't had any issues with my 50. But I've got to the bottom of it, and I guess it could happen to any loco. So, now on this you can just sort of go for kind of a little poodle. Like that, without doing anything. What, 50008? Well, when I went there to the Severn Valley Railway, and I went on the Thursday, it didn't sound too promising. I'm going to just bring it back. I'm just going to bring her back. I just need to keep an eye out, make sure I don't crash into it. Now, one of the nice features... Nice one, David. I like that. So if you can fresher, like I said, and you can go. So I did the F11 horn, so you can do the F10 horn. That's the other way around. So let's give it a bit of a fresh. Yes, some 50s are named after First World War ones. Some are named after aircraft carriers. There is actually, I did actually have a book on it about which 50s, like I think Ark Royal, Illustrious, Victorious, were all named after aircraft carriers. The earlier ones I think were like the Dreadnought, and I think the Superb, I think, were named after warships from the First World War. I do like the way that some people ask about quick drive lock on this. Now, what I did there is basically I used the feature called F9 because I thought it was going to crash into Centurion because it's going a bit too fast. And I used this. Do you see the way it just stopped just there? And basically that's because it's got this feature. If you press F9 called the inertia on off, and if you leave the inertia on, the loco will just carry on rolling to a steady stop, even though you cut the power off. Whereas if you switch it off, it acts like analog. It's like turning the current off, and it will just stop straight away, which is what I did there. Yeah, the driver probably did just hit the windscreen, probably. So yeah, I need to do a running session at some point, but it's actually, I've been trying to get the yeah, but that was me pressing the F9, because if I let the inertia kick in, the inertia would have just smacked it into Centurion behind. But because I pressed the F9 button, it had like an analog loco where it's just cut the power off and it came to a complete stop. It's almost like an emergency stop button kind of thing. Right, is my controller a Gauge Master controller? It is indeed. Hang on 1 second. We shall just put that over there. Oh, sorry, my apologies if I have. Right, there we go. Right. So, back on, here we go. So this is the thing. This is why I like keeping the camera pretty much to one bit, because it kind of goes a bit kind of haywire. I'm not a professional at this. Yes, so this is my controller that I tend to use, which is a Gauge Master Prodigy Express. It's all I need for my layout, because my layout is not very big, and it's just for me. I can only really run one train or two trains at any one time, mainly one, because of my concentration. I'm not very good at concentrating. So I really have to concentrate hard on what I'm doing, otherwise I end up sending locos where they shouldn't be going. So this is all I need. I got it at a great price, and it runs lovely. The inertia is basically F9. It's just a button, F9. You either switch it on or you switch it off, and it kind of acts as an emergency stop. And in fact, it's actually a better emergency stop than the one that's on the Gauge Master, to be truthful. Anthony, yes, all my 50s are all super detailed class 50s. So basically, the default is that the inertia is on all the time. So so basically what happens is when you cut the power and the loco is moving along, if you stop the power here, the train will still kind of carry on until it eventually comes to a stop. Whereas if you switch the inertia and you get to this point and you press the F9 button, it acts like an analog controller, and it's just like cutting the current off. It just stops straight. So it doesn't go all the way. It will just eventually just stop a lot shorter distance, as opposed to. And apparently, I was talking to Kevin about this, and he was saying that a lot of people have said that they found it a useful function and a useful feature on the controller, because of, like me, I wasn't particularly concentrating, and the train kind of started running away from me, and I just pressed the F9 button. It just almost acts like an emergency stop button, and it just sort of stops there and then. So it kind of gets you out of a few spots. So yeah, so that's kind of what that does. Other functions and other sounds that it has. Bear with me a minute. excuse me. F0 is the lights on and off. F1 is the sound on and off. F2 is the horn high, and that's a single high. That's a single horn. That's that one. If you press F3, that's low. Yeah, I love those. Yeah, I love Class 50s. I have seen some. F4 is the brake release. F5 is the flange squeal. And I think that only works when the loco is moving, because I had this problem it's not a problem, but I had this thing last time I tried to demonstrate it, and I couldn't demonstrate it because I think the loco has to be moving. To be fair, it's one of the least ones that I've used anyway. F6 is the driver's door. And then you've got F8. Yeah, that's right. F7 is the guard's whistle. Now that can be as long or as short as you want. So, for some reason, oh no, it's because I'm pressing the wrong button, am I? No, okay. For whatever reason, that's not. I can't get that to work on that one, so I'll have to check that one. F8 is the volume. There you could just switch it on and off. F9 is the inertia, which is what I was telling you before. F10 is the horn low high, which is that one. And F11 is the other way round. And then you've got the Spirax valve, which is F12, which is quite low. You can hear it, but it's quite low. You have to be really right up to that. And F15 is going to be is the buffering up, and I'm not sure whether that is, again, what I have to do with that. I think that might be moving as well. I think some of them are. F16 is short brake application, which is what that is. And then the F17 is to switch the compressor on and off, and that's only when that's moving as well, or when the engine is actually switched on. So I think the buffering up and things like that may very well be. Some of them might well be when the engine is actually on. So let's just see. I could be wrong. I just think, like, to be honest, I haven't really fully explored everything. Oops. No. Right, okay, so that was that one. So I inadvertently switched it off again. Right, okay, so that's why I shut it down. But anyway, I know it all works. I've been playing around with it, but it's just me getting it right sometimes. Yes, there is still a lot of them in preservation, actually, and there's many of them still in preservation. It's... Oh, did you, Mike? Which one did you get? Next project for a 50 into DRS. The other thing, just to let you know, that he also does, I should actually say as well, because he does do other things. He does do the sound chips, as I said before, but he also does get, like Mike Britton said, he does do NCE power controllers, and he also does holders. I've got a holder for my basically for my Prodigy Express, and it's basically just like a clamp that you just slide it in and it just holds it. So yeah, so that's what that does. So he does do various holders for various controllers, as well as chips, and as well as controllers. So has anyone else got anything else to say? Because if not, we're just going to wrap it up for tonight, and we'll see what happens on the next video. So has anyone got anything else that they'd like to add? Yeah, I did know that the Portuguese had Class 50s actually. Yeah, I have seen them around, but no, they're not really my thing. Just because it just doesn't fit the layout for me, and yeah, it doesn't. It's not really my. I've just always loved the Class 50. That's how. No, No, I'm not planning to have all of them. As it so happens, this is Monarch, and those of you who don't know about Monarch, Hornby Monarch, I should say, not the real Class 50 Monarch, is it's got this symbol on it. And those of you who don't know what that is, it's actually a Kerno Models limited edition exclusive. But like I said, I didn't actually buy it from him, so this is like the only one I've ever seen so far out of the new batch from Kerno that I've managed to get second hand. And there's not actually a scratch or a mark or anything on here. And I've managed to get hold of this one, and I'm really lucky to get hold of this one. I really didn't expect to get this one at all. And as soon as I saw it, I had to snap it up. I had a quick check over of it. So I checked over the buffer beam details, make sure all the buffers were there, make sure all the steps were there, make sure that all these bottom pieces, none of them were broken, because they're always easy to break. Also to check the louvers. So before I even bought it, I was checking all the body, scrutinising the body just like scrupulously, because I know what they're like. That's why when you go on eBay, if you buy one off of eBay, you know, make sure you check all the pictures properly. You know, I mean, some bits you can buy relatively, like jumper cables and steps, you can still get readily available, but some bits are a bit more difficult to get hold of, and sometimes it's easy just to sort of say, look, I'll wait for the next one, rather than try and patch up a really bad 50 or whatever. So yes, okay, so I'd like to sort of end it there. I'm glad to have my 50s 008 up and running again, sorted, so that's good. I'm also happy that my Class 73 is on the way up. I don't know when the next Rails and Judy session is, to be honest with you, because thank you, David. It's just that I obviously it's dependent on when I'm available, and it's dependent on when he's available, and obviously I'm not always necessarily, because I do have health issues, nothing drastically serious or anything, touch wood, but it does hamper my sort of life quite a bit, and I'm not always the most reliable for doing these streams and for doing and planning things in advance, because I can never really totally guarantee when I'm going to be well enough to do things. Tonight I'm not feeling brilliant at all by any stretch of the imagination, but at least I'm at home, and you know there's that kind of safety margin that I'm at home, so it's doable. Yeah, I will do. I always try to do it as possible, but I do sometimes. I do some just off the cuff stuff. It's just the way it is with me sometimes. But like I said, in terms of what's happening between me and Rails, I don't really, like I said, it really is a matter of when we can actually get it together and whether we're both available and up for doing it. But we're going to see what happens, because I really am trying to concentrate, because Christmas is nearly upon us. It's only literally... Yeah, thank you. You want to see Paddington Bear before we go? Okay, well, let me not break my neck. I'm trying to trip over the mouse. So yeah, okay, bear with me a second and we'll say goodbye to Paddington. Here he is, he's up here, look. Hello! That's what he's doing. I'll come over. So here he is, here is Paddington Bear, and all being well, all being well, I'll be going to Paddington on Tuesday to see my family, who I love dearly, and to spend my birthday with them, assuming that I'm well enough to travel. Like I said, it's just as much a frustration, it really is sometimes a frustration for me. It's a frustration for my family and all those affected around me, because I would love to be a bit more reliable than I am. So, but it is what it is, and at the end of the day, it's like I don't do this for numbers. I just do this for, and you know, for anything. I just do it because I enjoy doing it, and if I can, and some people get enjoyment out of it and find it useful, then I'll carry on doing it as and when I can. So Beatenhoff Junction, my sincere apologies, but we're just wrapping up now. Yeah, yeah. Well, Anthony, if you haven't seen the short slideshow clip that I did put up yesterday, I think, please feel free to have a look at that. That's already up, ready for you to view. And then hopefully, we'll be, I'll be doing the Class 50 at 50 event at some point during December. Hopefully everything will be, all the 50s will be up and running by then. So thank you so much. And if you've got any, I was just wondering as well, I've been meaning to do this for some time. Do you guys would like to see like some sort of Q&A or something? Would that be of any use to anyone? Because if you would, I'd quite happily do a question and answer some of your questions, or if you find that you'd like to see something like that. I haven't really done anything like that. Thank you, Graham, for your compliment. Thank you. And you like the idea, John Dawson? Because if you would, at some point I will. No problem, Philip. Okay, I mean, because I'm pretty open to that. You know, okay, cool. So at some point, what I'll do is I'll put up some sort of announcement, and I'll say, look, I'll do a live stream on a set date. Have your questions to hand. Whatever you do, don't throw them all at me at once, because obviously I want to try and get us through as many as I can. So if the list starts creeping up really quickly, then I might miss a question or two. So hopefully we'll just get through them as best we can. And yeah, you know, if anything you'd like to know or need to know or whatever, then please feel free to ask. So until the next time, it's goodbye from me, and goodbye from Paddington, and goodbye from Ringwood South. So until the next time, bye-bye everybody. Bye-bye.